Good afternoon. This is Deb Amlen for the New York Times, and welcome to a very special edition of Crosswords Live. We have two things we're celebrating today. One is that it's our one-year anniversary, so welcome and thank you for joining us for a year of solving crosswords. And the second thing we're going to be celebrating today is the anniversary of one of my favorite literary series in the world. On Monday, June 26th, the world celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. And we had an occasion that has never quite happened here before at the New York Times or at the Times of London. Brian Greer, who was the crosswords editor of the Times of London from 1995 to 2000, is a veteran cryptic crossword constructor, and he made two crossword puzzles. One was his first American-style crossword puzzle for the New York Times that Will Shortz ran on Monday, and the second crossword was a British-style cryptic crossword that ran in the Times of London on Monday. And because this was such a special occasion and we don't believe it's been done before, we decided to have a Hands Across the Water swap. So what we did was we sent our puzzle to the Times of London, and the editor, David Parfit, solved the American crossword puzzle, which he had never done before. And today, this puzzle that you see in front of you may look a little strange to you. I'm going to be solving the Times of London cryptic crossword, which is a very different kind of puzzle than American-style crosswords, but I'm very, very lucky because I have two guests today who are going to help me get through this. The first one is the puzzle constructor, Brian Greer. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, everybody.
Brian is with us from Portland, Oregon, and we also have New York Times Crosswords editor and NPR puzzle master Will Shortz, who has also solved the crossword puzzle and is going to be helping us out today. Hi, Will.
Hey, Deb. I want to congratulate you on your beautiful nails.
Well, thank you very much. I got the manicure especially for the occasion. Anyway, we have in front of us a very typical looking cryptic crossword grid. And for American audiences who are used to seeing a puzzle with all over interlock, where all of the squares are sort of connected to each other, this may look a little bit different, but that's really not the most unusual thing about the puzzle. The most unusual thing about a cryptic crossword are the clues. And I have to tell you that after having done Brian's crossword, and we do run cryptics occasionally in the New York Times, by and large made by Americans, I've become a bit obsessed. I really enjoy this. Each clue is like a jewel. It's like a puzzle unto itself, and there is a recipe for deciphering those clues. They may not make sense on first reading, but we're going to talk to Brian and to Will today to help us figure these out. We have a lot of people who are starting to comment already. Selena Merton says, crossword puzzles are one of my favorite things in the newspapers. Well, thank you, Selena. We agree. Bruce Garner says hi from Seattle. A lot of people are joining us. If you have any questions for either Brian Greer or Puzzle Master Will Shortz, please put them in the comments and I'll be happy to read them. But let's get started on the puzzle. Let's see. We're going to start with one across. We don't have to, but I think it's a really good example of the kind of crossword, of the kind of clue you'll see in a cryptic crossword. The clue here, and I don't know if you can see it, is moving restlessly from front of boat with fish. And it's 8 letters. So they have the letter count there for us. Now, Brian, am I right in saying that one of the basics you need to know when you're solving cryptic crosswords is that there are 2 parts to a cryptic crossword clue, or at least 2 parts. One is the definition or synonym of the answer, and the other part is basically wordplay. Is that correct?
That's correct, although there are two exceptions, which I will talk about later.
Okay, well, that's great. So what we're going to do is, one thing I do know, and that I've learned since I started doing these, is that the definition or the synonym is either at the beginning or the end of the clue. It's never in the middle. So we have moving restlessly from front of boat with fish. Will, can you identify the definition for us?
Well, I can, but before, yes, I would. It would be the start, moving restlessly.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put those in parens here. So what we know about this so far is that moving restlessly is the synonym for the answer that would go here at one across. Did you want to say anything else about this?
Well, I would say if you're solving a cryptic clue, as you suggest, look at either the start or the end of the clue and see if you see a word or a chunk that sounds like a direct clue or definition of the answer. And here it could be either moving restlessly or fish.
Good.
But it turns out to be moving restlessly.
Good advice. Okay, now we know that it has to be a synonym for moving restlessly. And one thing I noticed from having done crosswords is that the phrase "the front of boat" is a prow. And that's just something I know from crosswords. So I'm going to start writing that in. We know that we're going to have to add "with fish." And we're not really sure what that means, but I'm going to get us started here. There's prow. And remembering that Brian, am I correct that just like in American crosswords, the tenses have to match? The tenses between the clues and
Absolutely.
Do the tenses have to match between the clues
Absolutely.
and the answers? Okay, so
Absolutely.
if we have moving restlessly, and we have fish. Now, this was something I had to look up. There is a type of fish called the ling, which is a type of cod.
Okay.
And I'm going to write that in. And the reason I can write it in
Yes.
that way is because it says front of boat, which is prow, with fish. So it suggests that you're going to put them together. And here we have the word prowling, which is a synonym for moving restlessly. And we've solved the first one.
Right.
That's
Just one detail on that. The word "from," you could call it a link word.
right.
So it's a link between the definition and the wordplay. And in this case, it means that a word meaning moving restlessly comes from putting a word meaning front of boat with a word meaning fish.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Bhavani Ganavaropoulos, please forgive me if I mispronounced your name. Ben Michelson, Samantha Cowan, everybody has put prowling in, and you guys are killing this. This is terrific. Hello to everybody. Everybody's way ahead of us. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I got this one all by myself, and I cannot tell you how proud I was of myself for this. The clue 5 across is, and there's no rhyme or reason to this, you don't have to go in order, but I just wanted to brag about the fact that I got this one by myself. Damned well after illness, containing second. Now, I figured that the definition would be damned, and right there at the beginning. It could be second, but because there's a containing here, I really figured that that was part of the clue. Well after illness is the word cured. And containing second, in British cryptics, it's very common to take just the first letter of certain words. Is that correct?
Well, it's actually an abbreviation.
Okay.
The Times has an accredited list of one-letter abbreviations,
Okay.
including S for second.
Wonderful. Okay,
So-
terrific.
So it's not just any first letter; it has to be a recognized abbreviation. And
That's
if you
correct.
if you think about times, if someone said 5 minutes 25 seconds, they might do 5M 25S. So in this case, second stands for S.
Okay, great. Well, then
That's American cryptics,
then I guessed
that's not just-
correctly.
That's American cryptics in it as well as British ones.
Okay, so I'm going to write in the word cured here. Cured, which was well after illness, and we now know that that is a verified abbreviation, S, and the word cured contains seconds, so the only place I could think of to put it in is right here, cured, and that becomes cursed, which is a synonym for the word damned. And so we're going to write that in, and now we've got 2 words in there, cursed. Well, thank you, Brian and Will, for that. Let's see what some of our guests are writing. Jamar Garcia says, very daring using a marker. Well, I'm daring, and I also need you guys to be able to see this. Generally, I'll do it either on my phone or using a pencil. Jan Gartenberg loves cryptic crossword puzzles. Well, thank you for joining us, Jan. I'm really glad to have you here. Some people are saying that the word, the front of a boat is a bow. Will, the bow is the back, is that correct?
The bow could also be the front.
Okay.
And just like an American crossword clue, there could be several answers that match the clue. It's the same way with a cryptic crossword. The front of boat could be a prow, could be a bow. Mm-hmm. It could also be the letter B. That would be very common, front of boat.
Yes.
But so you have to stay flexible and figure out which way works.
What we setters like to do is sometimes we put in something that looks like a crossword cliche but isn't. So actually in this clue, ling is almost the first word a British solver would think of when confronted with fish. Fish is so often ling, so that is a crossword cliche, but sometimes we can turn that around in a jiu-jitsu fashion and put in something that evokes a cliche but doesn't work.
That's our crossword jiu-jitsu. Well, that's terrific. Meredith Ferguson is contributed a little bit of knowledge. I'm not a sailor, so I don't know if this is correct, but she says that the prow is of the above water portion of the bow. So
correct.
Now we know. And let's see. Brian Payne Duncan, one of our regulars, says 6 down is uncut. I'm going to write that in, and then let's review the clue. Let's see why that's uncut. That was one that I was hoping to get some help on from you two, Brian and Will, because that was one of the ones that I got it, but I wasn't quite sure why I got it. And that is something that seems to happen quite a bit in cryptic crosswords for me, as I will guess the answer, and I can sometimes in hindsight figure it out, but I'm not really sure why. For this one, the clue is like marginally unfinished book, yet to be censored. Now I figured out that yet to be censored was the definition, and the answer is uncut, because that's yet to be censored. How does like marginally unfinished book, very briefly, how does that relate to uncut?
Okay, well, this is a kind of clue called 2 definitions.
A double.
Yes, and a book that hasn't yet had its margins cut is marginally unfinished.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, there are types, definitely, I would say, how many different types of clues would you say there are, Brian?
There are about 6 or 7 main types, and then there are all kinds of variations. But Will could comment on this. I don't think Will would allow this clue because the 2 meanings of uncut are too close together. Is that right, Will?
That's exactly right. Yeah, we wouldn't allow that in American cryptics if we would require 2 completely different meanings. And this puzzle, it's uncut. It's really the same meaning of uncut, simply not cut. But it's a good clue. It's beautifully written.
Yes, it is. John Ellis Guardiola says, I love this insight. Do you frequently air this kind of video? Thank you, John. We do the Thursday crossword puzzle, the Thursday New York Times crossword puzzle, every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we do discuss tips and tricks for solving the American-style crossword puzzle. Today is a special video where we're doing the Times of London Cryptic Crossword in celebration of the Harry Potter 20th anniversary. Okay, Fleur Sarfati says 14A, 14 across is overindulge. Let's take a look at that. The clue here is devour gin, led astray, did consume too much. Okay, I think that did consume too much is going to be the definition here. And this was another one that I figured out all by myself, which was terrific. If you take a look at devour gin and the word lead, and you see the word astray here, the astray is an indicator of an anagram. And if you mix up or anagram the letters devour gin, lead, you get overindulge. Am I correct about that, Brian?
Yes, that's correct.
That's okay, great. Look at me, I'm an expert already. Overindulge.
Anytime you see a word or a phrase in a clue that suggests mixing up, wrongness, or a new version of something, that could be an anagram signal. And that anagram signal tells you to rearrange the adjacent letters. And here, astray is right next to devour, gin, lead, and it's 12 letters. So any cryptic solver is going to look at that and immediately try to start anagramming devour, gin, lead.
Right. At first I didn't include lead, and so I got myself a little bit turned around. But once I got it, it was crystal clear, which is that great aha moment that you get from cryptic crosswords. Let's skip then to, and here's an example of one where you actually have two different kinds of things in the crossword. 17 down, leader from Mexico, I'm lodging in Oregon otherwise. I loved this one. I got, from the word lodging, I got the fact that the word I'm was going to have to be lodged or in Oregon. And I knew from looking at it that the definition was not going to be otherwise. It was going to be leader from Mexico. And so if you take the word I'm and lodge it in Oregon and you anagram it, so that's two different kinds of clues here, what you get is the name Geronimo, which is I'm and Oregon. Geronimo. There we go. And so, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, this exemplifies the need to have a good crossword editor, because the clue I submitted was leader from Arizona, and he said that Geronimo was originally from Mexico.
Well, you are a brave, brave man for admitting that, Brian. Thank you. And I think that it was an excellent clue anyway. But yes, editors are very, very important. They're important here at the Times, and they're important at the Times of London.
Absolutely. And while you're saying that, may I give a really heartfelt thank you to Will for all his help?
Absolutely.
On the New York Times puzzle.
Well, thank you, Brian.
That was, yes, and that was a terrific puzzle. In fact, we have a recording of the Times of London crosswords editor, David Parfit, solving the American crossword puzzle that I'm going to put on Wordplay along with a copy of this video so that people can see both solves and both puzzles. And I just wanted to also mention that both puzzles, the Monday New York Times puzzle and this puzzle itself, are available for free for 2 weeks. Actually, it was 2 weeks starting on Monday from Wordplay. If you look for the column called Alchemist's Quest, I believe it was. It seemed like so long ago.
Yes.
At the bottom of the column, we have links to both puzzles, which are available even without a New York Times subscription. So let's continue on. Will, just pick out a clue at random here that we haven't solved yet, and talk us through it.
Let's take 11 across, because it's a clever clue, and it also has a little bit of Britishness in it that American solvers might not know. So the clue is reprimanded about learner, part of issue that needs raising. And it's the definitional part of the clue is cleverly hidden at the end. It's part of issue that needs raising. That would be a child.
Right.
A child is an issue and it needs to be raised. Reprimanded, I think is, I don't really know this, but it's chid, which would be another form of chided. And learner, that's something, when the first time you solve British English crosswords and you find learner representing the letter L, and you think, why is that? And years after I started solving these, I learned that in England, if you are a beginning driver, they put a big L on the front of the car to warn other drivers that you're inexperienced. So a learner is the letter L. So it's reprimanded, the word chid, around, L for learner, which is part of issue that needs raising.
Wonderful. That's right. Let's write in child. Fleur Sarfati is watching from London and says it's fascinating and useful. Well, thank you for that. Will, you're getting a lot of great feedback on your solving of the clue. And Patricia Morales says hello to both of you. And Gabrielle Sanchez says it's like listening to a longer version of NPR Weekend Edition. Well, we're very happy to have you all here, and thank you for helping us solve. If you guys do want to ask any questions of Brian or Will, please put them in the comments, and the comments are going by fairly quickly, but if I see them, I'll be happy to ask them. Okay, next up, 7 down. Let's see. This was one that it took me a while to get, but I eventually did. Would-be partner having diamonds, perhaps, and gold. I figured out that the would-be partner was the definition. Having diamonds, as soon as I saw the word diamonds, I figured it probably wasn't as obvious as I thought. It probably was not necessarily having to do with a jewel, but perhaps a card suit. Diamonds as opposed to aces and spades and clubs, and perhaps and gold. So the would-be partner not only has a diamond suit, but also has gold, and that might have to do with, I don't know, an engagement ring or something. I'm just guessing here, but the answer is suitor, and that is the definition of would-be partner. Do I have that right, Brian?
Yes. OR is a heraldic term meaning gold, the color gold, and it's another piece of crosswordese. There are an awful lot of words and expressions in British cryptics which no longer live anywhere else except there.
No, we don't know anything about that, do we, Will?
Yeah, we have our words like that too. But if you think about the opera La Coque d'Or,
right.
D''OR there stands for gold. So that's one way that bit of crosswordese lives on.
Right, yeah, no, that's fine. And it's funny, I kind of suspected that, but I wasn't sure. And I know mainly the gold from the periodic table, which I believe is AU.
Yeah, that's
correct.
Yeah, that can also be AU. Yeah.
I knew there was no such word as sutau, so I figured that was wrong. Okay, all right, moving right along. Brian, why don't you pick out one that you really liked and let us know how to solve it?
Okay, I'm going to go for 20 down, because this exemplifies what I would call misdirection. Mm-hmm. One of the things that it's nice to do is to write a clue that creates a context or an image. So, man on board, British ship at sea, hiding nothing. So, British ship at sea, it's all suggesting a nautical context. But in fact, man on board, which is the definition, it actually refers to a chessman, namely a bishop. So what's that to do with the nautical context? Well, nothing. But man on board is the definition. B for British is another abbreviation that we're allowed to use. Ship at sea is another anagram indicator. So this is a little bit complicated, but it's B, then an anagram of ship, and it's hiding nothing, which is the letter O. So that's how you get bishop.
Got it.
So the whole thing is meant to make the solver think this is all to do with something happening on the ocean, but in fact the definition takes you into a different frame entirely.
Love it. And we have another clue here which uses something that I call them sound-alikes. I don't know what the official cryptic crossword name for these are, but at 23 down, we have the clue, herbs something with great healing power reportedly. That I believe it's a double definition, isn't it?
You got it right the first time. It's a homophone.
It is a homophone, but you've got herb. Well, that's true. And then the definition is great healing power reportedly, because time heals all wounds supposedly. And so the answer is the herb time.
That's right. And don't forget the word something, because you have to have the same part of speech. So time, T-I-M-E, is something with great healing power.
Right.
Many people have clued probably time with a homophone before, but Brian clued this very prettily, something with great healing power. That's a great way to clue.
I like that. I did.
T-I-M-E.
That was one of my favorites too. Okay, let's pick another. Let's see what our guests are doing. Everybody. We have a bit of a lag on Facebook, so please forgive me. We're a little bit ahead of you guys. A lot of people are still commenting on the heraldic gold or yellow. Fleur Sarfati says 28 across is Potter. And so let's write that in and then figure it out. Thank you, Fleur. The clue is craftsperson who ultimately puts black away. Craftsperson here is the definition, and who ultimately puts black away. Fleur's rationale was as in pots the black. I'm not sure what that means. My guess was that it was a potter, but it had to do with, since I knew that there was going to be some sort of a Harry Potter theme, and we'll get to that in a second, I honestly thought it had to do with Sirius Black, but clearly I was wrong. Brian or Will, would you like to explain this one?
Brian, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, there's a game in England called snooker. It's very popular on television. And snooker, it's a little bit like pool, in the sense that cricket is a little bit like baseball. And the final ball to be hit into the pocket or potted. Do you use the same term in pool?
I don't.
To pot a ball?
I don't play
I've never heard of this term, actually.
Oh, okay. So hitting the ball into the pocket is called potting it, and the last one in is the black.
Got it. Wonderful. Okay, so I was hoping for a Harry Potter connection there with the word black, but clearly I was wrong. But see, yeah. I've learned something.
Well, the point about this puzzle is, first of all, the Times doesn't normally carry themed puzzles, so it had to look like a non-themed puzzle to anyone who didn't spot the theme. And it's also what I called a ghost theme. So the clues for Harry and Potter made no references to the books and movies Harry Potter.
Right. Well, I was very excited to sort of dig into this and find one, and I think I even found one that maybe you and Will weren't aware of, but we'll get to that. 4 down, Luciana Amigo says that 4 down is nose or nose. You are very close, Luciana. The clue is quality of wine, the writers included. That's what we hear. That's what we hear, I have learned is a very common technique for sound-alikes, but I don't think that's what that indicates today.
Yeah, not this one, yeah.
Yeah, the quality of wine, or a feature of wine, would be a nose, and the writers included. I'm guessing that that's where you're getting the I from, Brian?
That's right. The writer or the speaker is very often I or me.
Right. Okay.
In one of our crosswords.
Then what we're going to do in this clue, I think, is we have the quality of wine is a nose, and we're going to include the I here. That's what we hear. We hear noise. So let's put that in. So you were almost there, Luciana. Very, very close. We're going to speed this up a little bit because we're about halfway through, and I still want to get to the Harry Potter-ness of this puzzle. Okay. Jan Gartenberg says 4 down is notes. Well, I think that's a different clue, Jan, but you're right. You're right about part of that. Brian Payne Duncan says 26 across is Harry, and the clue is persistently pester last chap in undistinguished trio. I'm going to just take us through this very quickly. The undistinguished trio here would be Tom, Dick, and Harry. And the last chap in that is Harry, which is a synonym for persistently pester. So let's write that in. And let's see, 21 down. Here's one that I got, but I wasn't completely sure why. We have an R and a T here, which is very helpful, but the clue is arcane splinter group holding on. Now, a splinter group, I'm sorry, the definition is going to be at the beginning here. A splinter group, I guessed, was a sect.
That's correct.
And holding on, I'm not quite sure exactly what that had to do, but the definition from sect, I guess that the synonym for arcane was secret. Am I?
That's correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
And at the start of a memo, especially a legal memo, it might say RE,
Right.
Which means concerning or regarding, and a synonym for that is on. So that is how RE equals on.
Got it. Terrific. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along. This one I liked. Some president, I calculate, is lacking any distinction. This one, I guessed, I knew that the word some meant that we needed part of the word president, and lacking any distinction was going to be the synonym or the definition. I noticed that president, I calculate, in that was some of president is ident, and if you keep going here, you get the word identical, which means lacking any distinction. Terrific. Okay.
Exactly right, and the word is in the clue is a linking word. That's saying that some part of president I calculate is or equals lacking any distinction.
Terrific. Okay, great. Thank you. A lot of people are agreeing on Harry. Valerie Tang agrees on identical. And let's keep going here. One thing I did want to mention is that if you want to take a look at what we have so far and see some of the Harry Potter theme in it, which is not typical, Brian said, we've got Rowling in Prowling. We've got Cursed, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. We've got Harry himself down here, Harry Potter. We've got Secret, as in the Chamber of Secrets. Let's see, do we have anything else? Here's one that I asked you, Brian, and you weren't really sure about this. I tagged the word identical as having a Harry Potter theme only because I knew from reading the books that Ron Weasley, Harry's best friend, had identical twin brothers. Is that not... That was not part of it as far as you were concerned?
I didn't know that, and I didn't have it in mind, and solvers are always pointing out brilliant. I mean, I'm usually aware of my own brilliance, but they point out things that I wasn't aware of.
Well, that's extra points for you for putting that in there. A lot of people are asking about identical. A lot of people are guessing child. Alexandra Lay is asking, could 8 down be Dudley? Well, it does look like it fits, but the clue itself is shake hand, finally, of less conventional type. So here's how I figured it out, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I figured the word shake was the definition. I took the word hand and finally, figuring that the finally referred to the last letter in the word, D. And then of less conventional type would be otter. So if you have D from hand plus the word otter, you get the answer over here, which is to dodder or to shake.
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Look at us. We're killing this thing. Okay. Oh, and Sophia Voris says that Ron is inside Geronimo at 17 down. There's another one.
Right.
I'll bet we could go through each letter of this and find something having to do with Harry Potter. Okay, 13 across. This one took me a while. I really was not quite sure of this. I did get it, and I got the sound-alikes to it, but I had never heard the term before. So 13 across, put away amount of money as stated for dance. To put away is, if you look at it as a past tense, is 8, which could also be the sound alike for the number 8. Amount of money is a sum, S-U-M, and the sound alike for the word sum. As stated, 8 sum for dance. Now, I like to think I'm pretty hip and with it and up on the dances of today. Is an 8 sum a dance, Brian?
Yes, but it's not a modern dance.
Oh, that's an old one.
Okay.
Yes, it's short for 8 some real.
Okay. But it's a great word. I liked it. I figured it out, but I wasn't sure how. And that's actually part of the fun of solving these things. Because you can continue to marvel at the puzzle even after you're done. All right, 9 down. Runs full of self-satisfaction on reconstructed legs. I love this one. I got it right away. Will, do you want to take that?
Sure. Runs is the definition, and if you run illicit liquor, you smuggle it. Let me see here. It's been a while since I did this.
If you're
I've got it. Yeah, full of self-satisfaction means you're smug.
Okay.
And reconstructed is an anagram indicator. That's a word that suggests mixing, that you're rearranging, and the adjacent letters are legs. So it's a smug plus an anagram of legs, which makes
G-L-E-S, smuggles. And we've got muggles
runs
in there to boot.
Yes.
Okay. That was 9 down. So smuggles.
Yeah, which includes the word muggles, which
yes.
I gather has something to do with Harry Potter. I'm like Will. I've never read any books nor seen any of the movies.
Well, I'll be the Harry Potter expert. From what I remember, I did read them to my children. The muggles are people who are human-born and do not have wizarding or witch-like powers. So they are normal human beings.
That's like us. We're all muggles.
Yes, we're all muggles. Well, as far as you know, Will. Anyway, let's try one down. Choose an ancient character said to be an old-fashioned rogue. I did not know this word, but I did learn it as a result of having done the puzzle. Brian, would you like to take us through that? One down?
Yes. This was a place where I was finding it difficult to find a word that fit. So I used a word which is a little bit more obscure than I would prefer. So if you think of a picaresque novel, this is a novel about a rogue, and the word picaroon means a rogue. It's an old-fashioned term, so hence old-fashioned rogue. And it sounds like the whole word sounds like pick-a-rune, R-U-N-E, which is an ancient character or letter.
Choose an ancient character, pick a rune, and the word actually turns out to be Picaroon, picaroon, and that's a beautiful word, which I looked up, and I think that the etymology of the word is from the Spanish picaro, which is where I think we also get the word pirate from, which is definitely an old-fashioned rogue.
Mm-hmm.
And people are asking, let's see, Patricia Morales doubts my hipness and wants me to show some dance moves when I'm done. Sorry, Patricia. 13 across. Larry Grubman says 8 from the Harry Potter. Yes, we did get 8 some. Thank you, Larry. Valerie Tang asks, so does run simply indicate the tense of the answer?
Yes, because it's runs, then it has to be smuggles.
Exactly.
If the clue had been run, then it would be smuggle.
Yes, it's present tense and it's plural. So yes, the answer, Valerie, is yes. It's just like in American crosswords, the tense of the clue indicates the tense of the answer. Let's see. Raphael Briand says 10 across is Calvinism. Well, you know what? You're not too far. You're not completely wrong. This was another one that I didn't quite understand. The clue is, before one's Mass, hear about European form of religious instruction. Now, I know that religious instruction here at the end was the definition, but I'm not quite sure how we got to the answer. Would one of you experts like to take me through that, Brian or Will?
Well, I'll take it.
Okay.
And it's one of the most complicated clues here. First of all, it says before one's Mass. Well, ones are the letters I-S, because an I represents a 1, so it's I-S. In physics, Mass would be abbreviated M, so that's the end of the word, ISM. So before ISM, hear would be catch. If you catch some news, you hear the news, and it's about that it goes around European, and the letter E is an abbreviation for European, as in EU would be European Union, for example.
There's a lot in that clue.
Yeah, this is what I call a kitchen sink clue. It's way more complicated than I prefer. I really like simple clues. Like in the New York Times, I love the what I call cryptic definitions. Yeah. And my all-time favorite was rake over the coals. And should I tell the answer, I guess?
Go ahead, yeah.
The answer is Don Juan in Hell. And I just love that clue.
That is wonderful. Justine...
Well, there's a great cryptic clue here. Maybe we should do that next. It's 3 down.
3 down. Okay, terrific. Before we get to that, though, Justine Levy has a question. She says, is the definition always the first part of the clue? And the answer to that, Justine, is no. It's always either at the beginning or the end, so it can be on either part, but you will not find it in the middle. So you always know to look to the beginning or the end of the clue for the definition. Okay, so 3 down. This was fabulous. The better he is, the less likely people will pick his work. Pick being the key word here. You want to take it, Will?
Yes, this is a clue that could actually appear in an American crossword because it's just a nice cryptic definition. And the answer is locksmith. And the better a locksmith is, the less likely people will be able to pick a lock or pick his work.
I love that.
And this illustrates how crosswords could have evolved out of riddles, because this clue could easily be restated as a riddle. We have the world's greatest riddler with us.
Yes. 12 across, and we're gonna have to kind of hurry here, but 12 across, boundaries around English or French city. I got this one. I was so proud of myself. Well, we have around, boundaries around, I think is at least part of the definition, and that would be rims. And English or French city, I'm sorry, the definition here is actually French city. The E in English goes inside here, and we have the city of Reims in France.
Exactly.
That might be a little confusing, but I was very happy. That one just kind of fell into place for me. Okay. Some people are saying wow, and several colorful words that I can't repeat on a New York Times website. But, you know, guys, this is one of those things where if you practice and you work at it, you get much better at it. I have, since doing Brian's puzzle, I have downloaded an app on my phone. I bought a book about cryptic crosswords, and that's going to be my summer. I'm going to get better at these things because I really am a little obsessed with them now. Luciana Amigo says, hi, Will. You want to say hi back?
Hi there. Hi there. Hey there.
Justine Levy says 12 across is radius. Unfortunately, Justine, we don't have enough letters for that, but we did just go over why it's R-E-I-M-S. It's rims with the word E inserted into it for English. Let's jump to 2 down. Frequently ring paper initially, then another. I got this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll explain this one. And there's a bit of Englishness in there that I bet most Americans don't know. So the definition is at the start, in this case, frequently. Okay. And I'll tell you the answer is oft-times, right. O-F-T-T-I-M-E-S. The ring is the letter O. Okay. Paper initially, that's the tough part. There's a paper in Britain called the Financial Times, and it's abbreviated FT. Right. I think it's masthead. I mean, on the front of the paper, it actually says FT.
And this is the other.
And then another paper is Times, as in the Times of London or the New York Times. Yeah. So it's off Times.
Sneaky that you got that in there, Brian. Okay. 19 across. Let's see. For example, realists work hard in quietly greeting defeated team. That's where you lost me, Brian. Will, you want to help out?
No, I'm going to ask Brian to explain that one.
Okay.
Well, this is another kitchen sink clue. I found it very difficult. I wanted to have Philosopher's Stone in the puzzle, because that was the original title of the first Harry Potter book. But found it very hard to clue, so it's bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. So work is op, short for opus. Hard is H, the abbreviation for hard. Quietly is P for piano.
Okay.
Standard crossword ease. Greeting is hi, and
hello? Okay.
If you can find your IKEA instructions and put that together, you'll get philosophers.
I think I'm going to need a bigger Allen wrench. Okay. Fastidious. Here was another one that I had trouble understanding. Fastidious as daughter about cutting flour. I got it. I guessed that it was delicate, but I am not sure why. Will, help me out?
Which number was that?
15 down.
15 down. Fastidious is delicate. Mm-hmm. Abbreviation for daughter, as on a gravestone, would be D.
Okay.
And it's about cutting flour. Well, I solved this. Now I'm blanking out on how I did that.
That's okay, as long as we got there. Alexander
Brian, go ahead. Explain that.
About is CA, short for circa.
That's right.
And flour is elite.
It is? Okay. E-L-I
The flower of American puzzledom, for example, means the elite.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. And Mark Debbie Engelhardt says she's obsessed with getting better with the New York Times crossword. Well, stick with us, Deb, because we do solve it every Thursday here on Facebook Live at 1 o'clock. So come back next Thursday, and we will give you tips and tricks for getting better. Okay, 24 down. Line adding novel. Contribution to mathematical work. The only thing I knew about this one, because I've seen it in New York Times crossword puzzles, is that a mathematical work is a lemma. Now, what that has to do, I'm guessing that the L in line has to do with the first letter. Is that correct?
Yes, it's again an abbreviation, one-letter abbreviation, L for line.
And adding novel contribution?
There you're dividing the clue in the wrong place.
No.
A famous novel is Emma.
Oh, God.
And a contribution to mathematical work is a lemma.
Right, got it.
Yeah, because a lemma is part of a proof.
Right.
Yes, Doug Reese just recognized this. This looks like the Times of London crossword. It is. This is the one from. We have people who tune in all throughout the broadcast, and that's okay. Doug, this is the Times of London crossword from Monday, June 26th. We are celebrating Harry Potter's 20th anniversary, and even though the Times did it on Monday, we're continuing that celebration. He also says that actually a mathematical subproof is a lemma. Well, that's good to know. And Fleur Sarfati is back. She says 27 across is Timpanist. And that one I also figured out for myself. After short spell, keyboard player, missing second, drummer. Oops, sorry about that. Well, drummer here is the definition. The keyboard player is a pianist. And it's missing the second, so we're going to take the second letter out, which gives us P-A-N-I-S-T. And after short spell, the keyboard player is missing the second drummer. Well, we know it's Timpanist. What's with the T-I-M, Brian?
Its spell means time, or can mean time, and it's short. It's missing its last letter.
Okay, got it. Spell is time. And see, the rules for British cryptics are a lot looser than they are for American-style cryptics.
They certainly are. Thank God.
But I find them very challenging. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. We can do this. We can kill this. Britty EK says 18 down is asbestos. Let's throw that in there. And we're going to figure out why that is. 18 down, a call for assistance installing finest building material. Well, building material, I guessed, was the definition. Finest is best. And a call for assistance is ASOS, which I guess you're installing the best inside there, and that gives you asbestos.
Exactly.
So 25 across. Possibly brilliant change of direction. I like this one very, very much. Brian, would you like to try that one?
Yeah, this is a little difficult. I think Will commented that he didn't quite see it. Brilliant is a kind of gemstone, or stone. So that's the definition. Change of direction is south to northeast, or S to NE. Wow,
I didn't think of it that way at all, but that's great. I figured it. I got there completely differently. I got the answer stone, but I got there after the clue change, because to me, I got brilliant was stone, and direction. If you give someone direction, you're giving them notes, and change of indicates anagram for me. So there was more than one way to get there. I can't say that.
You made that much harder than you needed to. And I'll point out that in cryptic crosswords, if there's an anagram, the letters always have to be given.
Yeah.
So you were doing a synonym of direction and then an anagram of that, and that would not be allowed.
Oh, man.
Even
Okay.
in our looseness, that's a no-no for us.
Wow. Okay, well, see, I learned something here today. 16 down. Incidentally, it has an aptness as an anagram. Well, there's a clue. Anagram. And 16, let's see, 16 down. Incidentally was the definition.
Right?
And if it has aptness as an anagram, that means we are anagramming the word aptness. And a synonym for incidentally would be en passant, which
And actually, it's an anagram of an aptness. You're rearranging all 9 letters.
Got it.
And the letter count there, 2-7, is very helpful because you know the answer is 2
Yes.
words. First one 2 letters, second one 7.
Yes.
Right.
I think this is a courtesy to the solver that is missing in American puzzles, to have the number of letters at the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't do it partly for space reasons,
Mm.
but also that adds a level of difficulty to our puzzles.
Right.
Yes.
And the final one is wild animals in conflict with outfit protecting hospital. Now, I got right away that protecting hospital meant that the letter H, or part of it, at least H, was going to be inside something, that the rest of this was protecting the letter H in there. I figured out that wild animals was the definition.
Right.
In conflict would be war.
Right?
And outfit is togs. So,
Exactly.
And we have togs protecting the hospital, and so that the answer for wild animals is warthogs.
Bravo.
Thank you. Well, listen, I couldn't have done it without you guys, and I just wanted to thank the both of you for being here today. We've had a lot of great response to this. People are guessing the answers and enjoyed learning a little bit more about cryptic crosswords. We do run them in the New York Times occasionally as variety puzzles. If you have a
Every 8
chance,
weeks.
I'm sorry.
Every 8 weeks in the
Every
Sunday
8 weeks,
magazine.
there is a cryptic crossword as a variety in the New York Times, and I'd like to thank Brian Greer for being with us today. Brian, this was a magnificent puzzle. I really enjoyed it, and as I said, you kicked off an obsession with me.
Well, thank you, Deb, and I admire your timing. It was just brilliant.
Thank you.
You just finished on time.
I
just want to add that warthogs is a kind of spoonerism for Hogwarts.
Oh, I missed that. That's brilliant.
I did too. That's awesome. Okay. Fabulous. That's wonderful. And Will, thank you so much for joining us. I couldn't have done it without you, and I'm really glad you were here to help us through today.
Absolutely. It was fun, Deb.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody who joined us today. Please come back again next Thursday for a regular American New York Times crossword puzzle solved. This is Deb Amlen for the New York Times, signing off. Have a great afternoon.